Happy Friday. I'm Eden, and this is my dog Olive. And today we're going to be reading some stories. So, our first story for today is called Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This story is retold and illustrated by James Marshall. Throughout the reading, we're going to be giving Olive some little treats. Today we have some yummy chicken. It's her favorite one. So we're going to give her these treats together. Here. So yummy. Okay, so let's start reading. So Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Once there was a little girl called Goldilocks. What a sweet child, said someone new in town. That's what you think, said a neighbor. One morning, Goldilocks' mother sent her to buy muffins in the next village. You must promise not to take the shortcut through the forest, she said. I've heard that bears live there. I promise, said Goldilocks. But to tell the truth, Goldilocks was one of those naughty little girls who do exactly as they please. Meanwhile, in a clearing deeper inside the forest, in a charming house all on their own, a family of brown bears was sitting down to breakfast. Patooey, cried big old Papa Bear, this porridge is scalding. I've burned my tongue. I'm dying, cried Baby Bear. Now really, said Mama Bear, who was of medium size. That's quite enough. I know, said Papa Bear. Why don't we go for a spin while the porridge is cooling? Excellent, said Mama Bear. So they got on their rusty old bicycle and off they went. Olive got up for a sec, so we're just going to have her lay down so we can keep reading. Good job. So, a few minutes later, Goldilocks arrived at the bear's house. She walked right in without even bothering to knock. On the dining room table were the three inviting bowls of porridge. I don't mind if I do, said Goldilocks, helping herself to the biggest bowl. But the porridge in the biggest bowl was much too hot. Patooey, cried Goldilocks, and she spat it out. Next, she tasted the porridge in the medium-sized bowl, but that porridge was much too cold. Then Goldilocks tasted the porridge in the little bowl, and it was just right, neither too hot nor too cold. In fact, she liked it so much she gobbled it all up. Feeling full and satisfied, Goldilocks thought it would be great fun to have a look around. Right away, she noticed a lot of coarse brown fur everywhere. They must have kittens, she said. In the parlor, there were 3 chairs. I don't mind if I do, she said, climbing into the biggest one. But the biggest chair was much too hard. She just couldn't get comfortable. Next, she sat in the medium-sized chair, but that chair was much too soft, and she thought she might never get out of it. Then Goldilocks sat in the little chair, and that was just right, neither too hard nor too soft. In fact, she liked it so much that she rocked and rocked until the chair fell completely to pieces. Now that all the rocking left Goldilocks quite tuckered out, she wanted to take a little snooze. So she went to look for a comfy place to nap. Upstairs were 3 beds. "I don't mind if I do," said Goldilocks, and she got into the biggest one. But the head of the biggest bed was much too high. Next, she tried the medium-sized bed, but the head of that bed was much too low. Then Goldilocks tried the little bed, and it was just right. Soon she was all nice and cozy and sound asleep. She did not hear the bears come home. The 3 bears were mighty hungry, but when they went in for breakfast, they could scarcely believe their eyes. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Papa Bear. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Mama Bear. "Somebody has been in my porridge," said Baby Bear, and eaten it all up. In the parlor, the 3 bears were in for another little surprise. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said Papa Bear. "Somebody has been sitting in my chair," said Mama Bear. "And in my chair," said Baby Bear, and broken into smithereens. The 3 bears went upstairs on tiptoe, not knowing what they would discover. At first, everything seemed fine, but then Papa Bear lay down on his big brass bed. "Somebody has been lying in my bed," he cried, and he was not amused. "Egads!" cried Mama Bear. "Somebody has been lying in my bed." "Look!" cried Baby Bear. "Somebody has been lying in my bed, and she's still there." "Now see here," roared Papa Bear. Goldilocks woke up with a start, and her eyes nearly popped out of her head. But before the bears could demand a proper explanation, Goldilocks was out of bed, out the window, and on her way home. "Who was that little girl?" asked Baby Bear. "I have no idea," said Mama Bear, "but I hope we never see her again." And they never did. So that's the end of our first story. Olive liked that story. I think she had a lot of fun listening to that one. She's getting kind of tired. She's going to lay down. But I think we have a little bit of time for one more story. So this story is called Alexander and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good, Very Bad Day, and it is by Judith Viorst. "I went to sleep with gum in my mouth, and now there's gum in my hair. And when I got out of bed this morning, I tripped on the skateboard, and by mistake, I dropped my sweater in the sink while the water was running, and I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day." At breakfast, Anthony found a Corvette Stingray car kit in his breakfast cereal box, and Nick found a junior undercover agent code ring in his breakfast cereal box. But in my breakfast cereal box, all I found was breakfast cereal. "I think I'll move to Australia." In the carpool, Miss Gibson let Becky have a seat by the window. Audrey and Elliot got seats by the window too. I said I was being scrunched. I said I was being smushed. I said if I don't get a seat by the window, I'm going to be carsick. No one even answered. I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. At school, Miss Dickens liked Paul's picture of the sailboat better than my picture of the invisible castle. At singing time, she said I sang too loud. At counting time, she said I left out 16. Who needs 16? I could tell it was going to be a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I could tell because Paul said I wasn't his best friend anymore. He said that Philip Parker was his best friend, and that Albert Moya was his next best friend, and that I was only his third best friend. I hope you sit on track, I said to Paul. I hope the next time you get a double-decker strawberry ice cream cone, the ice cream part falls off of the cone part and lands in Australia. There were 2 cupcakes in Philip Parker's lunch bag, and Albert got a Hershey bar with almonds, and Paul's mother gave him a piece of jelly roll that had little coconut sprinkles all over the top. Guess whose mother forgot to put in dessert? It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. That's what it was, because after school, my mom took us all to the dentist, and Dr. Fields found a cavity just in me. Come back next week and I'll fix it, said Dr. Fields. Next week, I said, I'm going to Australia. On the way downstairs, the elevator door closed on my foot, and while we were waiting for my mom to go get the car, Anthony made me fall where it was muddy, and then when I started crying because of the mud, Nick said I was a crybaby, and while I was punching Nick for saying crybaby, my mom came back with the car and scolded me for being muddy and fighting. I was having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. I told everybody. No one even answered. So then when we went to the shoe store to buy some sneakers, Anthony chose white ones with blue stripes. Nick chose red ones with white stripes. I chose blue ones with red stripes, but then the shoe man said, we're all sold out. They made me buy a plain old pair of white shoes, but they can't make me wear them. When we picked up my dad at his office, he said I couldn't play with his copying machine, but I forgot. He also said to watch out for the books on his desk, and I was careful except for my elbow. He also said don't fool around with his phone, but I think I called Australia. My dad said please don't pick him up anymore. It was a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. There were lima beans for dinner, and I hate limas. My bath was too hot. I got soap in my eyes. My marble went down the drain, and I had to wear my railroad train pajamas. I hate these pajamas. When I went to bed, Nick took back the pillow. He said I could keep, and the Mickey Mouse nightlight burned out, and I bit my tongue. The cat wants to sleep with Anthony, not with me. It has been a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. My mom says some days are just like that, even in Australia. So we're just about done. Olive got up a little bit because she was maybe having not that good of a day and she is hungry for some snacks. But we had really fun. We had a lot of fun reading. That book was a little fast, but it was a stressful story because he was all stressed out. But so I hope we're not stressed out and we have a good weekend. And thank you so much for reading with us today.